Ever since the creation of humans, they have investigated the universe and everything in it in order to learn how everything works. Over the centuries, man has codified many laws of nature to explain why nature does what it does. Since we can't explain the earth and the universe, many people fail to give God any credit for what happens throughout the universe. The prayer of Habakkuk, recorded in Habakkuk 3, reminds us that Yahweh is the force which makes nature do what it does. The third chapter of Habakkuk is a prayer of Habakkuk. It is divided into three sections. In the first section, verses 1 through 7, Habakkuk acknowledged that he heard a report about Yahweh's rage which caused him to be afraid. Habakkuk went on to describe Yahweh's splendor as well as his retribution. Habakkuk put a minor break after verse 7, which delineates the first section of this prayer. Verse 8 starts the second section. Habakkuk 3:8. Did Yahweh's fury burn against the rivers? Or was your anger against the rivers? Or was your wrath against the sea, that you rode on your horses, on your chariots of salvation? The answer to this question is no. When Yahweh brought pestilence and plague upon the earth, which we read about in Habakkuk 3:5, Yahweh was not mad at the rivers and seas. He was mad at sinners. When Yahweh shattered the mountains and hills, which we read about in Habakkuk 3:6, he was not mad at the mountains and hills. He was angry about lawlessness. Verse 9. Your bow was made bare, rods were sworn unto battle by word, Selah. You split the earth with rivers. Scientists can give a scientific explanation about how rivers are formed, therefore they often ignore God's role in the formation of rivers. Habakkuk acknowledged that Yahweh created the rivers. Splitting the earth with rivers may be a reference to something that happened close to Habakkuk's lifetime. It could also be a reference to Noah's flood, because many of the rivers were formed during the flood. Verse 10. The mountains saw you and writhed. The downpour of waters passed by. The deep gave forth its voice. It lifted high its hands. During Noah's flood, there was a huge downpour of water, and water broke forth from the deep. There may also have been a big storm close to the time period when Habakkuk lived. Yahweh is the one who caused the storms. Verse 11. Sun and moon stood in their lofty places. They went away at the light of your arrows, at the brightness of your flashing spear. Scientists have a scientific explanation for most astronomical events. Therefore, they do not give God any credit for what happens amongst the sun, moon, and stars. However, Yahweh is the one who created the laws of nature that guide the sun, moon, and stars. Verse 12. In indignation you marched through the earth. In anger you trampled the nations. This could be a reference to the flood because the whole earth was affected and all people, nations alive at that time died except for Noah and his family. On the other hand, Yahweh has been creating and destroying nations throughout the history of the earth. As with nature, humans can give political reasons why nations rise and fall, and so Yahweh's rule is often ignored. Verse 13. You went forth for the salvation of your people, for salvation with your anointed. You crushed the head of the house of the wicked to lay him bare from thigh to neck. Selah. Verse 13 creates a contrast between Yahweh crushing the wicked but saving his people. Humans have learned many things about nature over the past 6 millennia. Since we can explain nature using scientific terms, many people refuse to give God any credit for what happens in nature. They don't even acknowledge the existence of God. In Habakkuk's prayer, he gave Yahweh credit for the shape of the earth, astronomical events, and the rise and fall of nations. Yes, there are laws of nature that explain what happens in the universe, but Yahweh created those laws. Yahweh is the force who makes nature do what it does. Thanks for visiting Bible Mountain. If you have already joined my email list, thank you, and please forward this to someone else who would benefit from visiting Bible Mountain. If you have not joined my email list yet, please do so now. My email list is free. In order to join, go to BibleMountain.com, click on email, and that will take you to a page where you can sign up. Your email address will not be sold nor given away. Once again, thanks for visiting Bible Mountain.